Hello. I should put a little lipstick on, huh? I should. Let me put a little lipstick on. Oh, you know what? Let me be fancy. I'm gonna get fancy. Fancy. Hey, y'all. Come on in. I found this lipstick in my purse. I was like, I forgot I had this. And I like this color. Oh, I could do a real cute ombre with this color. All right, so y'all see I got my wrap done again. I was like, let me throw this up here. I did it quick too. I ain't feel like going downstairs today, so we up here in the room again. All the kids are asleep, so we got some time. So today we are going to talk about the 2 types of HIV. We're also going to talk about the subtypes, because there are subtypes. You know, I always say it's levels to this. So that is what we're going to talk about. Shout out to everybody tuning in. We got Tampa in the house. Who else we got in the house? Where you at? Shout out your location so you can get a quick shout out before we get started. You new? Hey, Claudine. Welcome. All right. My dad called. So sorry. All right. My audio should be back. My dad called my phone. All right. We got Detroit in the house. We got, who else? Miami, Illinois, Dayton, Ohio, OH, IO. What else we got? Let's see. Rochester, New York, Delaware. Blend it with a little orange. I don't have no orange, child. Listen, I have basic colors. When I go buy lipstick, I just buy one solid color. I be like, okay. I get into my colors now, but yeah. Let's see. Vegas, what's up? Man, I love me some what's that? Fremont. Ooh, I went to this rooftop club on Fremont once. I'm not even gonna tell you how that night ended. Let's just say I made it back to my hotel by the time, well, no, the sun was nice and up. So yeah. Virginia, Boston. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure you're sharing this out to your followers. If it gives you options for free stars, holla at your girl. They just told me that y'all could give me free stars. So I know a lot of people be wanting to send stars, but I'm like, I don't have it. You know, so if you see something that says free stars, there you go. I'm almost at my stars goal. I really honestly just set this goal because Facebook kept pressuring me to set a goal. Every time I open my app, you should do this. Okay, here's the goal. So we almost at the goal, 77%. All right, you guys, let's get it going. Let's go. So, let's just start out with saying what is HIV? So HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. Okay. This is the virus that attacks your immune system. This is the virus that I've been living with for the past 15 years. Okay. There are approximately over 1.2 million people in the United States. That is not talking about in the world. Just only here in the United States, there are well over 1.2 million people that are living with this virus. Okay, Memphis, Dirty South, Chi-Town in the house. I see y'all. All right, so, you know, most times when you hear people talk about HIV, you only just hear them say HIV. Most people don't know. So a lot of you guys that are watching right now, you're probably watching because you saw this title and you like, what? What do you mean there's more than one type of HIV? What is that about? So, yeah. So typically when you hear somebody talk about HIV, that is typically HIV-1. So the first type of HIV is HIV-1. The other main type of HIV is HIV-2. And you'll typically see it listed as HIV-1 or HIV-2. Now, HIV-1 is the viruses. That one, the viruses get broken down into those subcategories. So you got different groups, not subcategories, subtypes, and strains. So, and it's going to sound confusing, but just roll with me, okay? I got you. I'm not going to let you leave this live confused, okay? Not at all, not at all. Not going to let you leave confused. So we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it in detail. So, we're going to break down first what each type is, what it does, where you find it, things of that nature. So HIV-1 is the predominant type of HIV throughout the whole entire world. It's about 95% of people who are living with HIV have HIV-1. Okay? 95% of the people in the world who have HIV have what we call HIV-1. On a, when you look at it on a genetic level, when it comes to HIV-2, more than 55%, it's about 55% different than HIV-1. So, and it's found in West Africa. Okay. So don't be sitting there like, wait a minute, I ain't never heard nobody say they had HIV-2. So HIV-2 is mainly found in West Africa. It doesn't transmit from one person to another as well as HIV-1, and it progresses slowly. So basically what that means is when I say that it doesn't transmit well from one person to another, that means that someone who has HIV-2, it would be very hard for them to actually infect someone with HIV-2. And if they're infected with HIV-2, they also do not have a progressive state of the virus. So which means a lot of people with HIV-2 don't take medications. They are not infecting others. Because this type of HIV-2, is one that literally transmits it progresses at a slower rate. So let me say that again. HIV-1 is what we all know. It is the one that is primarily transmitted from one person to another very easily. It is the one that 95% of the people who are HIV positive have. And HIV-2 is primarily found in West Africa. It is not easy for someone to transmit HIV-2. And HIV-2 does not progress fast, meaning most people who have HIV-2 do not take HIV medications. We clear? We got it? Anybody confused before we move on? If you're confused before we move on, go ahead and say it in the comments. Say, I'm confused. Or can you break it down again? And I will. Before we kind of break down the groups and the other stuff. So here's the primary difference between HIV-1 and HIV-2. HIV-1 is what you know as HIV. It is what 95% of the people in the world, when they say they have HIV, this is what they have. Most people who have HIV-1 have to take medications to manage their HIV virus. Most people with HIV-1 can easily transmit the virus to others if it is left uncontrolled. HIV-2 is the strand or the type of HIV that is very hard to pass to someone else. Most people who have HIV-2 are not on medications for their HIV virus, which means the virus progresses at a slow rate. All right. And there are some people who have HIV-1 who don't also have to take antiretroviral medications because they are what we call elite controllers. Those types of people are people whose body and genetic makeup and their immune system are strong enough to fight the HIV virus and keep them at an undetectable level without the medications. So in a sense, they are like a HIV-2 type person, but they aren't HIV-2. They have HIV-1. It's just that they're what we call the elite controller. All right, so the HIV-1 virus can be classified into 4 different groups. So when we're looking at HIV-1, everybody who has HIV-1 can be put in any one of these 4 groups. You have Group M, Group N, Group O, and Group P. So Group M, N, O, and P. Some alphabets. Y'all know, little kid, elemental P. Minus the L. M-N-O-P. Group M, Group N, Group O, and Group P. Out of the 4 groups, viruses in Group M contribute to the majority of HIV cases worldwide. So most people, like those that are in that 95%, are in Group M. And Group M stands for major. So that M in Group M stands for major. So these are the people that are in the major category or group. All right. Viruses from the other groups are much less common. These groups, these groups are mostly found in areas of Central and West Africa. So those would be some of those HIV type 2 people. All right, so let me go through that again. Good morning, good morning. Shout out where you're from. Share this live because a lot of people don't know that there are 2 types of the HIV virus. They don't know. They just don't know. Or if they know, they just never understood the difference. All right, so really quick recap before I move on. If you're just tuning in, HIV-1 is the type of HIV that 95% of the people in the world have. When you hear someone says, hey, I'm HIV positive, they are type 1. This is those who have type 1 can pass the virus on very easily. They take antiretroviral medications, which are the HIV medicines, and those medicines keep them healthy. Most people who have HIV type 2 are primarily found in West Africa. They do not take any medications because the virus, number 1, progresses very slow, and it is very hard for someone who has type HIV-2 to pass the virus on to someone else. My mom passed in 94 from full-blown AIDS. What's the difference? All right, so I will break that down after we get through this because I know questions are coming. So if you have questions and I don't get to them as we go through this, remember your questions if I don't remember them, and I have a notepad, so I'm going to write it right here. So we'll talk about AIDS and HIV. We're going to talk about, I'm going to break that down, even though, you know, I've done it many times. We're going to break that down in this video as well, so that if you're watching this video, you have a clear understanding of that as well. So, now with HIV-2, this one actually can be divided into about 9 different groups, which go from letters A through I. So again, I told you we're doing some alphabets. And groups A and D appear to be the ones currently circulating in humans. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there are actually animals who have their own types or forms of the HIV virus. Did you know that? Yeah, they're actually animals. So cats for sure have what's called FIV, feline immunodeficiency virus. So cats can have a form of HIV. Primates, so like chimpanzees, they have their own type of HIV, which is called SIV. Simian, it stands for simian. And so there are many other species that have what we would call their own type of HIV. So yeah. Lots and lots of things people don't know. So let's talk about some of these. So in HIV 1, within groups M, we have what are called subtypes. So group M is broken down into subtypes. These are groups of viruses that are genetically different from each other. So remember, if you guys been following me for a while, how I tell you guys that when people ask me about a cure, they always ask me, what do you think about a cure? Do you think they're going to find a cure? Do you think? So my personal opinion, this is only my personal opinion. I can't speak for anyone else but me and my opinion. My personal opinion is that if they are going to find a actual cure for the HIV virus, it is going to have to be a cure that can be tailored to everyone's different genetic makeup of the HIV virus. So yeah, and this is because of what we're finna talk about right now, because we have these subtypes. So when I say the groups, so in these subtypes, people have different genetically different. So you have subtypes A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, and K that are all under group M. These are all subtypes. Genetically speaking, these viruses can differ from each other by about 25 to 35%. So none of these types have the same exact anything. So say, for example, you take me, someone who's HIV positive, and you take my friend Destiny Smith, who's HIV positive. If you were to look at our HIV viruses, you may see very similar things along the way of our HIV strains and types that we have. But there is going to be a point in looking at it that there is going to be that 25 to 35% difference that you're going to see. Hey, Brenda, you late for important date. Don't be tardy for the party. No, you good. What I'm doing is actually, once I get to a certain point, I'm kind of just going back and restating everything that I have already stated, so you didn't miss it too much. I'm talking about subtypes right now. So within the subtypes, there's still variations. But again, we're going to talk about that also in a few minutes. With so many different variations, you're probably going to be wondering if the subtype is different in how they cause the disease to be transmitted or how people deal with it. And that is really honestly still a question that is being asked. Like, if a person has, group M, if they're under group M and they have, say, subtype H, how does that differ from somebody who's in group M but they have subtype K? Different things like that. So, just to kind of go back really quickly, we're talking about two types of HIV. We have HIV 1, HIV 2. HIV 1 is primarily the one that you all know. 95% of the people in the world have what we know as HIV 1. HIV 2 is the HIV that is primarily found in West Africa, and it is the HIV that is hard to transmit, and most people who have it do not take medications. Then we're going into HIV 1 and how HIV 1 is broken down into what we call groups. We have 4 groups in HIV 1. These groups are group M, group N, group O, and group P. And in group M, as we break it down, group M is pretty much the group that most people in the world, so this is worldwide at this point, most people who have HIV 1 worldwide are in group M. And M stands for major, because that is the majority of the people are under that classification. So then under group M, we're looking at subtypes. So group M is also broken down even further into these subtypes. And you have subtypes A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, and K. that are in Group M's subtypes. And what makes these subtypes so unique is that they're not all the same. Somebody who has subtype A and somebody who has subtype K are not genetically going to have the same things going on. There's going to always be about a 25 to 35% difference in how their HIV genetic makeup looks. All right, so how common are different subtypes? Overall, the greatest diversity of different subtypes are going to be found in West and Central Africa. Subtype C is the most prevalent subtype worldwide. Between 2010 and 2015, subtype C accounted for 46.6% of HIV-1 cases. So that's almost half. That's when you look at a percentage, we're looking at 100, and if you're looking at that 100% and looking at 46% of it, that's very close to half of the HIV-1 cases worldwide that are subtype C. This subtype is the most common in Southern Africa, East Asia, and India. So I know that if you're in the United States of America, you know, when you look at it, you're like, okay, 1.2 million people in the United States are HIV positive. That's a lot of people. But then when you look at it on a global, you got to remember, when you look at maps, now a lot of maps have been downscaled. So continents that actually look big on map really aren't really that big in reality. So think about some of these places. Like, for example, you have Asia. Asia is one of those continents that is huge compared to the continent of the United States, you know, to North America. So, So North America compared to Asia, just think about how many people in Asia are HIV positive. That's a lot compared to North America. But then when you're looking at it in as far as like the southern part of Africa, Eastern Africa and India, again, India is a very huge country as well. So yeah, 46.6% worldwide is a huge percentage. Now, subtype B is the main subtype that you find in the United States. So most people who are in the United States who are HIV positive and have HIV-1 and are under Group M are under subtype B. So I am probably under subtype B. And my doctor's probably going to look at me crazy when I tell her, like, can you tell me my breakdown? She's going to be like, what? I'm going to be real with y'all. The information that I am giving you guys and a lot of stuff that you're learning as we go through these times where I get on here and I share information, I guarantee you if you go right now to an infectious disease physician and you ask these questions with the information I'm giving you, they are not going to be able to give you an answer. They're not. They're not going to be able to give you an answer. If you were to go right now, if you were someone who's HIV positive and you went to your doctor right now and you said, hey, you know, I want to know what group and subtype am I in with my HIV virus? They're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? What? Hello? They're really going to be like, what? And they're going to be taken aback. First, they're going to be taken aback because, wait a minute, how does my patient even know to even ask a type of question like this? And then they're going to be taken aback because they're not going to be able to give you the answer. They're not going to be able to give you the answer. So everybody who always comes on here and they listen and you receive this information, let me tell you, I appreciate you guys because, yes, I have my little notes here and I'm looking at my notes and referencing my notes. But when I tell y'all, before I get on here and I give you guys the information, I go through this very thoroughly. I educate myself on this stuff. Like, yeah. I can talk to you about this online or offline. So a lot of like, it really, I think that's what really has pushed me to the point of saying, you know what? I am going to put myself back in school. I am going to go to school to be the infectious disease physician because, like I said, I want to be the one. Listen, I want to be the one like Neo. You know, I don't want to be in the Matrix or nothing, but you know what I'm saying? I want to be the one to like look at my patient come to me and tell me this stuff, and I can say, you know what, let me tell you something. And I could just sit there and just educate them without having to say, let me step out of my, I'll be right back. Let me go check on something. I don't want to be that doctor. I don't want to be the doctor that has to step out of the room to check on something to give my patient information. I want my information to already be here. So when I'm sitting right there with my patient is confident enough in me to know that I'm coming to them with the knowledge already at hand. All right, let's keep it moving. I just had to get that off my chest. I had to get that off my chest a little bit. Okay. Subtype B, again, that is the main subtype under the group M, that is going to be found in the United States. And it is going to be mostly found in parts of North America, South America, Europe, Australia, the Middle East, and Northern Africa. The other subtypes are less common. For example, the combined subtypes of, let's see, F, H, J, and K are like 0.9%. So that is a really, really low number. Okay, that's a really, really low percentage. So subtypes F, H, J, and K, you're not going to be finding those. Oh, wow. Thank you, Danny. Wow. Thank you for those big stars. Oh, I'm almost at my goal, 98%. Ah, thank you so much. Look, y'all see me over here get excited about stars? Who would have thought I would be over here blushing about some stars? But no, let's... All right, so... Look, let me come on back down. But no, seriously. So now let's kind of go back a little bit, because I know we have some new people tuning in. So we are talking about the two types of HIV. We're talking about HIV-1, which is the HIV-1 is what 95% of the people in the world have. That is what most people know when you hear the word HIV. Most people with HIV-1 have to take medications, and they can easily transmit the virus. All right, so again, HIV-1 is the one that is primarily found in 95% of the people who are HIV positive in the world. This is the one we all know. People with HIV-1 have to take medications. They also can easily spread the virus if it's left untreated. All right, then we have HIV-2. HIV type 2 is primarily found in West Africa. Most people who have HIV-2 do not take medication. They cannot easily transmit HIV-2 to anyone. It is a type of HIV that progresses very slow. Then we looked at HIV-1 in groups. So HIV-1 has 4 groups. You have group M, N, O, and group P. Now, group M is the group that the majority of the HIV cases worldwide are in. So most people, me, my friends who are HIV positive, we're in group M. Group M, and the M stands for major because that is where the majority of the cases are. And so another thing to also look at when we're talking about these groups are subtypes. So any subtypes, or you might say subcategories, so whatever your brain takes you to. But we also look at subtypes. So group M can also be broken down into subtypes. In these subtypes, you have, make sure I'm giving them to you. So in group M, the subtypes are A, B, C, D, F, G, H, J, and K. Now, like we've already discussed, most of the people who have these different who are in these subtype categories are not all genetically the same. Their HIV subtype, or how it looks, is not the same. There's always going to be that 25 to 35% difference in their subtype and how it looks. All right, and then we talked about the differences between those subtypes. So again, if someone has subtype C, these are mostly people who are what? Is what? Southern Africa, East Africa, and India. About 46.6% of the people who are HIV positive under group M and subtype C are in this region, and they my hand is itching. Oh, is that my money hand? Look, you know, grandma like, oh, your hand itching, that must be your money hand. Child, listen. Come on, hand. Nah, it's my nerve in my arm. Because I'm holding it up. Y'all know everybody be like, what's wrong with your wrist? I got a janky left arm, y'all. It's a janky arm. I'm supposed to have surgery on my left arm. All right, and then so subtype B, which is, again, under group M and under HIV-1, is the group I'm in. And most people I know, this is the group, the subtype that is found in the United States, as well as other parts of North America, South America, Europe, Australia, Middle Eastern, and Northern Africa. All right. And then again, some of those subtypes like F, H, J, and K are pretty much not even all that common. Now, another thing that people really get confused is strains. Strains, not strands, so not STRANDS, but strains. STRAINS. So when HIV enters a host cell, it begins to replicate, meaning it makes more of itself. However, many viruses get very sloppy when it makes copies of itself. And that means mutation happens. So that is how the mutation happens. Basically, the HIV goes in there and it attacks the white blood cells. It's like, oh, look, I'm finna make myself look like that so I can do my damage unseen. So once it gets in there and it does that damage, it also, what happens is, because it got so sloppy and it wasn't perfect, because remember, even down to the smallest itty bitty cells that we can think about, nothing in life is perfect. Even the HIV virus, okay? And so it gets sloppy, and in that sloppiness that occurs, it allows room for mutation. Now, when viruses mutate, and HIV specifically, because it's no exception, when it mutates, this allows different variants of the virus to be produced. So this is, again, that part I was telling you guys about when people ask about, do I ever think there's going to find a cure? If they are going to find a cure, and again, this is my 100% sole opinion, they're going to have to really look at every person's strain of the HIV virus. My strain that I have is different from Destiny's strain. It's different from Javon's strain. It's different from whoever's strain of the HIV virus. And so, again, for example, somebody with subtype B can have a really huge different strain than someone from, subtype C or subtype D. And again, it's going to be very similar, but when you get to a certain point when looking at these strains, there's going to be a point where it's like, wow, okay, this is different. This is different. And it's also possible that you may see different subtypes referred to as strains as well. So not only do we have, all these different subtypes, A, B, C, D, but sometimes when you break those subtypes down and really look at them, they can also be broken down and looked at as being a strain as well. And people are going to use that word interchangeably. Some might say subtype, some might call it a strain, but subtype B can definitely be one of those that could be looked at as a strain. Now, this also goes into one of those questions I saw somebody ask yesterday. Somebody asked in the post I made yesterday, can you have both? Can you have HIV-1 and HIV-2? Now, you are only going to be able to have HIV-1 or HIV-2. You're not going to have both. But, are you listening? Are you ready? If you're ready, let me see. Let me judge how many people listening right now. If you're ready for this next information, let me see you put a 1 up. Go on and put a 1 up on the screen. Put a 1 up or say, I'm ready. We ready. Remember that song back in the day? We ready. We ready. Because listen, this right here is finna blow some minds when I tell y'all this right here. There are a lot of few people who know this, what I'm getting ready to say, because they follow me for a while. But a lot of you guys are getting this information fresh and new and for the first time. So, okay, I see the ones. Look at the ones. All right, so it is possible for someone who's HIV positive to have more than one strain. Okay? When this happens, they have what is called a super infection. So just think about a super infection being like HIV to the 10th power. Okay? A super infection, sometimes you will hear it called a super virus. So when someone has more than one strain of the HIV virus, they have what's called a super infection. How the hell does that happen? Well, this happens because of two people who are HIV positive having unprotected sex. What do you know? What the heck do you know? Remember how I always say that, people always say this thing, oh, well, you HIV positive. Just go be with somebody else who HIV positive. Y'all can go do whatever y'all want to do. You can't. Yes, be with someone else who's also HIV positive, but that don't mean go have unprotected sex with them, because guess what? When you are having unprotected sex with someone and you're at risk of transmitting your virus to someone else. So, for example, you have two people who are HIV positive. Neither one of them are taking HIV medicines. Neither one of them are undetectable. And they're having unprotected sex. They are actually sharing and giving each other their strain of their HIV virus. And what happens is they are causing themselves to be reinfected and giving themselves that super infection or that super virus. Now, what can happen when this occurs? Lots of things. Not only could they possibly be giving each other other STIs and STDs, like herpes, hepatitis, other different things. But also, they are causing their HIV retroviral medications to potentially not work for them. And they're potentially building up a resistance to their medications. So, yeah. So there are people who have this super virus. Now, let's see. There are probably each year we're looking at probably about 7.7% on a larger scale of this happening to people each year. This super infection can impact your HIV treatment because the new virus may be resistant to the medicine that you're taking. Okay? And I'm finna give it straight from the horse's mouth. According to the CDC, super infections that are difficult to treat with HIV medications are rare. But continuing to take the antiretroviral drug as directed can help prevent this super infection from occurring. So again, take your medicine, you stay undetectable, you don't risk yourself getting the super virus if in fact you have unprotected sex with someone who is also HIV positive, but they are not undetectable. All right. It is also now Need y'all to understand this. Although most people, you're not going to see them having HIV-1 and HIV-2, that is not to say that it has not happened, okay? I want y'all to understand that. Now, I don't know nobody who have both strands, okay? I don't. I personally do not know anybody who has HIV-1 and HIV-2. Has it ever happened? Absolutely. Is it probably happening right now? But it has happened. So that's what I want you guys to understand. I'm being nosy. I see people walking. So I want y'all to understand. Is it happening right now? Has it happened in the past? Absolutely. So it has been in the past situations where someone has had a dual infection. This has been about let me see, what does it say? A 3.2%. Now, what you got to really understand about this. This is West Africa, okay? This is West Africa. This is not happening in North America. This is not happening in Europe. It's not happening in Asia. When it comes to cases being found in the past of people who have actually had HIV-1 and HIV-2, which we would call at that point a dual infection, because that's two. Dual means two. This has been in West Africa. And at that point, it was shown that the HIV took precedence over the HIV-1. So I want to put that out there, because I know I did say no, it ain't happening, but I want to make sure you understand, no, it's not happening right now. Has it happened in the past? Yes. But right now, no. You know, because I don't want nobody to come back and say, well, girl, you said you can't have HIV-1 and 2, but this is no. It has happened, but is it currently happening? No, it's not. Okay? Because I know how y'all is. All right, so let's talk about HIV recombination. What does that mean? So it's possible for two or more subtypes of HIV to recombine with each other. This can happen when a person contracts two different subtypes of HIV. All right. So remember, I listed all those different subtypes. So it is possible for someone to have more than one subtype, you know, A, B, C, D, those subtypes. It's possible for someone to have multiple subtypes, again, multiple strains, different things like that. Now, when that happens, then we have what's called a hybrid virus is what happens. A hybrid virus is produced, and it basically is produced, and then it has basically genetic stuff from whatever subtype and the other subtype. So you got these subtypes coming together. Now this new hybrid virus basically has those two subtypes and all the genetic makeup from both of those subtypes combined together. And that is what we get when we say a recombination virus or a recombinant virus. I'm trying to look at my little cursor here. It's possible that when someone has a recombination virus, you can transmit a recombination virus to another person. So a person who has more than one subtype can, if they were to infect someone else or have unprotected sex with someone else who's possibly also positive, they can give them that, they can transmit that combination virus to them. So that's why I say the moral of the story is wear a condom. Like, through all of this stuff, and I'm saying all of this technical stuff, all of this, through all of this, literally, what am I saying? Use a condom. It's just that simple. That's the base. That is the simplest way to say what I'm saying. Use a condom. Whether you and your partner are both HIV positive, whether one is positive, one's negative, whether you're both positive, use a condom. Because again, the stuff that I'm telling you guys right now, this is stuff that can not only happen to someone who's positive and giving it to someone who's negative, but it can also happen to someone who is all positive and having sex with someone else who's positive. And yes, I think someone asked in the questions, do I have it? Yes, I have been HIV positive for the last 15 years, which is why I am doing what I'm doing now. I am on here educating, sharing my story, making sure that people understand why they want to stay negative. I'm showing you why you want to be negative. If this information that I give to you guys on a consistent basis does not show you why you need to do everything in your powers and health to remain negative, I don't know. Hey, Curly, I can't understand why people won't tell you they got that gangster before I have sex. Stop saying you know what, Curly, I'm gonna y'all gotta know, me and Curly got this little we got this love-hate relationship with these words. Cause Curly be pulling these words out the pocket. I be like, Curly, stop saying that. I'ma whoop you, Curly, okay? Curly said, got that gangster. Don't be telling nobody they got the gangster. I ain't got no gangster. I am a gangster. Thug life. I love you, Curly. Look, all right, so I'm gonna do a breakdown comparison of HIV 1 and HIV 2, and then we're gonna get out of here. All right, so got me a cute little chart, and we're gonna look at the comparison. So we have definitely covered a lot of information in this last hour on different kinds of HIV. And so with this chart, I want us to look, make sure we have a clear understanding of everything that we've discussed. Because I know it's a lot of information, a lot of subtypes, strains, groups, all that. Sound like we're talking about algebra, right? All right, so about this type of HIV. So HIV 1. HIV 1 is the main type of HIV worldwide. Most people that are living with HIV have HIV 1. HIV 2 is less common than HIV 1. It's generally rare outside of Western Africa. It may progress more slowly than HIV 1 and is resistant to some antiretroviral drugs. Okay. Does it have groups? So does HIV 1 have groups? Yes. HIV 1 has 4 groups. We have group M, group N, group O, and group P. HIV 2. Does HIV 2 have groups? HIV 2 has 9 groups. They are classified using letters A through I. And I believe I pulled it up. Let me double check. I believe I pulled something up because I was looking at something. Let me double check. Okay. I thought I did. I thought that I pulled it up. Let's see. Okay. Let me close that because that didn't have it. Okay, so groups A through I, okay? Which group is most prevalent? So, in HIV 1, group M accounts for most of the world's cases of HIV. So, remember I said the M in group M stands for major, meaning majority. So, that is the one that's most prevalent. In HIV 2, viruses in group A and D are the most prevalent. So anyone who has HIV 2, they're more than likely going to be in group A or group D. Are there subtypes within these groups? We discussed that. So HIV 1, let's see. Yes, group M contains 9 different subtypes. They are classified using letters A through K without the letters E and I. And then in HIV 2 does not have any subtypes. So HIV 2 is pretty cut and dry. It has no subtypes at all. HIV 1 is the one that's giving us all this information. Okay. What subtype is most prevalent in HIV-1? It depends on where you are. Subtype C is most prevalent worldwide. However, subtype B is most prevalent in the United States. So it's going to vary. And then HIV-2, this doesn't apply because it does not have any subtypes. Let's see. And then, is there anything else to know about HIV-1? So, another thing to know about HIV-1, different subtypes from group M can combine to form hybrid recombinant or recombination viruses, which can then go on to circulate within the population. That was the last thing. And then, what is there anything else to know about HIV-2? It's possible for an individual to contract both HIV and HIV-1 In this case, however, HIV-2 is going to be the slower progressing virus. And again, this is something that I have not known to have happened in current times. Has it happened? Yes. Has it happened currently right now? Not that I'm aware of. We could research it. We could find it out. But most people have one or the other. There are only about 3.2% people who have been shown to have had both HIV-1 and HIV-2. So, is it happening right now? No. Is it possible that it can happen? Absolutely. Has it happened in the past? Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? I know we were somebody asked about HIV and AIDS. Let me see what else. Let me make sure there was nothing else. I'm just double checking myself. And again, you can go and get tested for HIV-1 and HIV-2. They also do drug resistance testing. There's a way for them to do, it's called a genotype. They run the genotype against the medications, and it'll tell them if you are resistant to any of the HIV medications. And then let's see. So basically, here's the bottom line, folks. I had to put my little serious little tone on. Here's the bottom line, folks. There are two types of HIV: HIV-1 and HIV-2. Most of the people in the world have HIV-1. HIV-2 is found in West Africa. HIV-1 is very diverse. It has subtypes, groups, strains, all that stuff. HIV-2 does not have any subtypes and all that stuff. It progresses slowly. Biggest thing I want you guys to know is to go and get tested. Know your status. Especially if you have been potentially exposed to the virus. Go get tested. Go know your status. Oh, look at my stars, y'all. I just came into your live. What is the topic? So, you came into my live. Did you see the topic before you clicked on the video? Or you just say, oh, let me go see what she talk about? Because the topic is actually the title of this live video. So, we're talking about, did you know that there are two types of HIV? Did you know? There are actually two types of HIV. We have HIV-1 and HIV-2. Guess which one I have? HIV-1. All right. So someone asked a question about what's the difference between HIV and AIDS. So just really quickly, HIV is a human immunodeficiency virus. This is a virus that attacks the immune system, breaks down your white blood cells, and it attacks and makes copies of itself. You can transmit the HIV virus to others if left untreated. AIDS is a syndrome. It is not a virus. It is not like any one specific thing. It is something that you acquire that breaks down your immune system and causes your body to acquire opportunistic infections. If you missed the discussion of opportunistic infections, I would encourage you guys to go back to one of my previous lives from last week where I discussed opportunistic infections in very much detail. So that is really the difference. HIV is a virus. AIDS is a syndrome. And if you are not unsure or don't understand what it means when I say a syndrome, let's see. Let's Google what the dictionary says a syndrome is. A syndrome is a group of symptoms which consistently occur together, or a condition characterized by a set of associated symptoms. So, it is not any one thing. It is an array of things. The HIV virus is one thing. It is a virus. It has one mission: to attack your T helper cells, to make copies of itself, and to continue doing it as long as you don't do anything to it. So that is what it does. All right. I think I saw another question. Let me see. Do everyone who have it always break out in sores? So, Ariel, I personally don't know anybody who's broken out in sores from having HIV. Like, personally. I've seen movies, I've seen old documentaries, I've heard people talk about what they saw in the 80s and early 90s. I've never broken out with sores from being HIV positive. I know I got some scars and some blemishes and stuff, but girl, my son kicked my ass across the chin. Mosquito, I'm in Florida. Mosquito bites, child. I bruise easy. I'm a diabetic. So I could just bump my arm on something and I'll have a bruise the next day. I got diabetic problems. I ain't got HIV problems, if that makes sense. Most people do not have sores. They don't get sores. So that is a thing of the past when it comes to the HIV virus. Yeah, I don't get no sores, child. Oh, no. If I get some sores, I'm going to be at the doctor. What the heck is this? No. Oh, and thank you. We hit our stars thingy. Our little stars goal. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure I saw something pop up. If you get if you get a titer for HSV1, can it also give... if you get a test, is that what you're asking, Enid? If you get a test for HSV1, can it also give results for HSV2? Okay, so HSV, are we talking about herpes? Because, HSV is herpes. So I want to make sure you're asking about herpes and not HIV. Because you said HSV, that could be a typo. Let me know, Melissa, if that's what you're asking. I'm only seeing it in the movies. Right, Sonya? I ain't seen it nowhere in the movies, child. Philadelphia had a lot of it in it. Look, Philadelphia, that was one of the big premises of the movie Philadelphia. Like, people would see somebody with sores and they were like, oh, they must be got it, I did all over my legs everywhere, but I had AIDS. Oh, yeah, Debbie. So that's a good, thank you for saying that, Debbie. So now, if someone does go into an AIDS diagnosis, that is something that you will see. Those are going to be those KS lesions, KS sores, Kaposi sarcoma, so to speak. So you'll see those KS lesions on someone who goes into an AIDS diagnosis, like Debbie just said in the comments. Hey, my Debbie boo. So yeah, they're going to be everywhere. Your legs, your backs, everywhere. Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much. Let's see. That's the movie you saw it in? Yeah, Philadelphia. All right, you guys. So it is 1:03. We've been on here now for an hour. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. All of my things that I do here on Facebook, I also upload them to YouTube. So I would love for you guys to also follow me on YouTube. It takes nothing but just to hit the button on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on there, because there are some things that I post on YouTube and that I'm going to be doing on YouTube that I won't be doing on Facebook. So I want you to make sure you're not missing nothing if you love the information and the things that I do here for you guys. And that is going to be it for today. And my YouTube is going to be LadyByrd. Just go on there and search LadyByrd, spelled the same way it is on here. You're going to see my little picture on there. Or you can go to on my page here, somewhere on my page. It is. All right, you guys. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm about to go take this wrapper on my head and take this lipstick off and relax. Laters.